You're in control of your attitude and you're in control of your effort. Because yes, life happens to us, but ultimately, you're responsible for how you feel. As humans, we experience a wide range of crazy emotions, and these emotions can come up during challenging times that seem to hit us out of nowhere. That's the purpose of this podcast, to teach you how to move through these difficult situations and harness these emotions that we feel to be able to create the life that you want. My name's Nathaniel Berg, and I'm the host of the Emotional Fitness Podcast. I hope you enjoy. Hello, everybody. I'm really excited for today's episode because I'm combining two of my favorite passions, my podcast and football. Now, I know some of you aren't football fans, maybe some of you are, but the lessons that I've learned from coaching football apply directly to life. And so that's the name of this episode. It's the life lessons I've learned from 700 hours of coaching football. These lessons not only do apply to football, but they apply to any aspect of your life, whether it be your relationships, your personal self. Maybe you're going through some emotional, mental problems right now or struggles, business, sports, family, even spiritually. These are things that can help make a big impact in your life. And I know this because I've coached it with kids in football, which has been wonderful. But not only that, I've been able to pull those tools and lessons I've learned and be able to help people in real life with their relationships, with their business, and be able to make some wonderful changes in where they're going in their lives and how they feel. So without further delay, we're going to dive right into this. We have 5 things we're going to discuss. The first one is a phrase that I learned a while ago, and I really liked it because it helped me change my perspective of coaching football. And so the phrase I heard was, it's not X's and O's, but Jimmy's and Joe's. So for anybody that knows football, you see a lot of times they're in the football movie, they're drawing on the board, they've got their O's and their X's, and they're trying to work all this strategy, which is really wonderful and a lot of fun for coaches. But the phrase there, implying that it's not about the strategy, is so much of the person and the people that you're coaching. And so that's kind of what I extrapolated from this, was people over strategy. And so for yourself in your life, you can think, am I the right person to do this job? Do I have the right skills in place to do this job? To find the partner I want to find, to be in the relationship I want to be in, to run the business that I want to run, make the career change that I want. Because I find we get so caught up in society with strategies because they're fun and they're a buzzword. They really get people on board and they can really hook people. But I'll tell you this, I've seen this time and time again, not only in football, but in business, in life, in relationships, is you hear these wonderful strategies, but if the person doesn't have the belief or the conviction that that strategy will work, it's not going to work. So the lesson there is people over strategies. And when I say people, I mean you're not only other people. So if you're building a team as a business, you need to have the right personnel in place before you start adjusting your strategies. If it's maybe you're just an entrepreneur and you're starting up something new, looking at yourself first. What do you need to address in your own life first? Maybe it's some beliefs that you have. Maybe it's some preconceived idea of what business is. Maybe it's something that you don't think you're able to do. Maybe it's a limiting emotion that you've had or labeled something. Looking at relationships, addressing your own self first before trying a new strategy, addressing who you are first. Are you the person, or do you want a relationship that is filled with love and kindness and joy? And if so, are you emulating that now before you start implementing new strategies? So that's the first lesson there, is people over strategy. The next one that I've learned, and this came really early in my coaching career, because again, I'm somebody that liked the X's and O's. I like to plan and strategize and have all these different plays, when realizing sometimes we do need to do something different, but sometimes that something different can be just a small adjustment. And so the lesson there is alignment. Alignment fixes a lot of things. And I really loved it in football because I started realizing that if I just have my guys line up a certain way, a yard this way, a half yard that way, 2 yards up, back, it can make a big difference in the plays they make and where they can get to on the field. And I started realizing that is a huge lesson for life, is alignment can make a massive impact. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a huge change, but even just aligning yourself with the right people, aligning yourself emotionally, aligning yourself spiritually, mentally, making sure that you feel that whatever you're doing is true to who you are. And yeah, sometimes the location. When I think of alignment in terms of people and location, what came to mind to me was your subconscious mind and how your subconscious mind is set up through programming, and your programming is set up through the people around you and where you live. So if the people around you, the people that you are aligning yourself with, don't believe in you, have a lot of limiting beliefs, have a very strong scarcity mindset, are very negative, or maybe they just want you to play it safe all the time, is that going to be the type of person or are those people the type of person that you want to be? Doesn't mean you can't love them and care for them, but if they're not the type of person you want to be, maybe you need to start aligning yourself with people that are closer to who you want to be, closer to the type of life that you want to have. They did a really cool study where they followed youth and children from a young age, and they looked at their location and who they spent time with. And those that spent time with people that had more money, by the time they were 35, had a higher income than others that didn't spend time with people that had more money. So that's a big increase, 35%. So it goes to show you that alignment, so who you spend your time with, has a lot of power in who we become. So being careful on where you're aligning, and is that alignment what's going to help you the most? Again, I would go back to football. There are certain situations where we need to have our guys up really close. Let's say it's a goal line situation, whatever. We need them really close. Other times we want them really far back because it's 3rd and long or 4th and long. So that's a really obvious situation of alignment. Are you doing that same for your own life? Are you putting yourself in that same position where you're aligned in the best position possible for what you want and need to get done? So I'll leave that with you, thinking of where you're at right now, and do you need to change maybe location? Maybe you need to move out of where you're living right now. Maybe you're in a bad environment that way. Maybe you have some friends that aren't helping. Maybe emotionally and spiritually you need to check in with yourself and see and write down what's really important to you and what you really want out of your life. Because I tell you, there's a lot of power coming from that, especially having that direction. So, third lesson was that challenges can be a massive blessing. And now, some of you have listened to me for a while and you've gotten this message a few times of how these challenges can bring us a lot of positive things. But I've seen this lots in the football world, not only in certain games, but just on day-to-day stuff. So I'll give you 2 examples. Last year, we played a team that we thought we would absolutely beat, and it was going to be a great game, and we ended up losing, and we lost terribly. However, it was such a pivotal moment because, for a few reasons, but one, we got to really check ourselves because we were starting to ride high in who we thought we were and how well we were. And it put us in check and it helped us kind of come back to reality a little bit and be able to make some adjustments and then later beat that team in the playoffs when it really mattered most. So that was a really wonderful blessing there because it helped us become better. We all talked amongst ourselves and we all sat down and just realized we needed to change. And so that's where that challenge was so wonderful. During that time as well, during that game, we had a series of drive where everything was going wrong. Guys were in the wrong spots. They were making huge plays on us. Penalties were going against us. And at one moment there, when everybody on the team was freaking out, coaches, I could see, were getting frustrated and flustered. Players were starting to scream at each other. There was one guy. One guy was holding on. One guy was trying to bring everybody up. One guy was being that leader, a true leader. And the best part about that, it revealed so much character in that moment of who that person is, who that guy was in that moment, because it's really easy to ride high and be positive when things are going your way. It's a whole other challenge to do it when everything's going against you. And that one person revealed that day and forever has made a massive impact on my life. And now is a lesson that I can use and help others with. And so that challenge was a true blessing because it brought out that character, which is amazing. Not only that, these challenges, not just think of, job loss, think of divorce, think of, anything emotionally and mentally going on, these really tough times. But some of these day-to-day challenges can be blessings as well. I use the example on the football field with kids that I coach that some of these small challenges we get is what makes us stronger. I think of lifting weights. If you're lifting the same weight all the time, you're going to get stronger. But eventually, you're not going to be pushing yourself the same. You're just going to keep the status quo. If you're lifting the same weight all the time, at the same pace, same tempo, everything. So you need that. You need those small challenges to push us, to make us better, to form our character. A wonderful analogy I use for the high school kids, or story, was that in a wolf pack, there's a lot of different roles. You have your alpha, you have your beta, you have your watchdogs, you have the enforcers, you have the elders. They have all these amazing roles. But of those roles, which role determines the strength of the pack? And now most people will say, well, the alpha. And it's not entirely true, because it's not the alpha that runs it. It's actually the beta. The beta is the one that's pushing the alpha to constantly be better. Constantly pushing them every day to challenge them to be better. And so if you have a weak beta, you'll have a weak alpha. And so here's the life lesson there, is that these little challenges you get along your way are going to make you stronger. That's your beta, constantly testing you to making sure that you're strong. So somebody cuts you off in traffic. These little things, you spill your coffee, you are late for work, kids are freaking out. All these little challenges, and I'm saying these because I've gone through these, I go through them all the time. Those are the beta challenges. Those are the ones that are constantly pushing you to become stronger. So you can fold up and quit, or you can rise up and become better and become a stronger version of yourself and a better version of yourself. And on the other side of that challenge, it's a better version of yourself. So take that challenge on as a blessing. I know it's tough in the moment, but if you can find a way to be grateful for it when it's done and look at how much better of a person you became because of it, you'll ultimately be a better person. So these challenges, again, in life, it can come in relationships, in tough discussions, in maybe some arguments or fights, financial problems, in your business, any hiccups, challenges, losing contracts. All these things can be challenges that can help you become better and can ultimately change and form who you want to be and the next version of who you want to be. So with that, we have lesson 4. And so this was a lesson that I really learned early, and I was quite happy that I did, because as you can tell, sometimes I like to talk. And as a coach, this is something that I found was we were spending a lot of time discussing things and not a lot of time doing things. And as soon as I had that shift of a lot more doing and less discussion, my players became better. So the phrase I want you to remember is reps over rambling. Repetition over rambling. And from a coaching perspective, yes, we need to coach good technique, and yes, we need to have certain strategies and things they need to be able to do. Absolutely. But most kids, especially young men, learn from doing, from actually moving their body and doing things. So is it worth the time to let them do one, stop and talk for 5 minutes, and let them do another one? Or let them run it a few times and make a quick correction, get lower, move faster, move your hips, whatever it is. And it got me thinking with humans. There's a lot of similarity there. If you're trying to learn how to build your business and grow and do sales calls, talking about it, sure, but getting reps are more important. Getting repetition is ultimately where you're gonna learn the most from. Having difficult conversations with kids, same thing. Doing it over and over. Having repetitions. Obviously not doing the same thing over and over again if it's not working, but think of a repetition and then a little adjustment, a repetition, a little adjustment. Having difficult conversations with your partner, same thing. Getting those repetitions in, practicing, hey, can we sit down and talk about this difficult thing? I might stumble through it. I might say something I didn't mean, but I want to talk about this and try to get this out. Repetitions. Sales calls, like I said, businesses, taking those shots, even in your own life, taking shots that you didn't think you'd be able to shoot. Maybe it's a financial thing, or maybe it's a business opportunity. Getting those reps, because ultimately those reps will make you feel better. And I say this out of experience and say this because I've helped a lot of people doing it. And I've helped a lot of kids with this as well, a lot of athletes. So focus on getting the reps. Don't just sit there and talk about it. Action, as Tony Robbins says, is a cure-all. So take action, get the reps. Lesson 5. So one of my ultimate favorite things that I've learned from coaching football is that most things can be fixed with attitude and effort. Most things can be fixed with attitude and effort. And I love it because if you think of your attitude and your effort, who's in control of it? It's you. You're in control of your attitude and you're in control of your effort. Because yes, life happens to us, but ultimately you're responsible for how you feel. And it's up to you on how you want to feel on a day-to-day. And if you're going to let a bad situation, something negative that happened, ruin your day or ruin your week or ruin your year or ruin your life. And I know some people don't like hearing that, but it's the truth. And I've been through a handful of shit. Injuries, divorce, jobs, financial problems, all of it, you pick. But when I looked at all those things, what is one thing that I could always control was my attitude, my effort. So to break it down a little bit more, when you look at the attitude of analogy I started using with my athletes was this, is that attitude, especially in a team environment, and this can be any team, this can be your family, this can be an actual sports team, this can be in a work environment, that a negative attitude can be like pissing in the Gatorade. So I tell the kids. So if I had a big bottle of Gatorade and you were super thirsty, you're super dehydrated, and I said, hey, here I got some Gatorade for you, do you want it? I said, but the caveat is there's a little bit of pee in there. I just peed a little bit. Would you still drink it? No, it's disgusting. Nobody would. That's what a negative attitude is like on a team. It's just that little bit of poison that spreads over the whole thing and can sour everything. So having that negative attitude spoils it all. So changing the attitude, changing how you feel about, yes, you can be frustrated, 100%. Yes, you can be angry, 100%. But if you're angry and frustrated, it means you got to get determined. It means you got to get some energy behind what you're doing and take some action. A story about effort. And again, this is from coaching football. We had last year a player that led the province in tackles. And now he was an amazing player and did a lot of things right. He did also make a lot of mistakes because it's high school football and they all do. But when I noticed watching film over and over again is what half of this player's tackles were from pure hustle. Half of the results that he got were from pure hustle and just wanting it more than other people did. Just hustling more than other people. Putting in much more effort than everybody else on the field. And you could see it. I had guys come up to me that I know in the community ask me, they were at games watching and saying, who is that guy? He is flying around. How is he getting everywhere so fast? He wasn't our fastest player. But he wanted it more and he put in more effort. And no surprise, if you haven't figured out, this is the same guy from the story before when everything was falling apart. This is the same player that was holding everything together and trying to bring people up when we were behind on that game. So attitude and effort make a massive difference in your life. If you're looking at any situation you're in now, what is your attitude towards it? And how much effort are you putting in towards it? Are you in a bad relationship? Are you in a relationship that needs a lot of work? What's your attitude towards it? What are you doing about it? What kind of effort are you putting in? Don't like your job right now. What's your attitude towards your job? What's your attitude towards getting a new job? And what are you doing about it? What kind of effort can you put in to make a change? If you're an entrepreneur, I look at the same thing. If you're running a business, it's the same thing. What is your attitude towards your business? What is the attitude toward finding clients? What is your attitude like doing cold calls, reaching out to people? And what kind of effort are you putting in? Are you putting in that maximal effort? And a phrase I like to use is that perfect effort. That perfect attitude and that perfect effort. And what that means is that if you haven't figured out yet, it's 100% on you and it's your absolute best in that moment. Because if you put in that absolute perfect effort and that perfect attitude, I promise you, you'll start getting results that you want in your life. And now this perfect effort and attitude can change from day to day. Sometimes your perfect effort is a 5 one day and feels like a 5, and the next day it feels like a 12. But the key is that focusing on the perfect attitude and the perfect effort. This is a phrase that I got from the De La Salle High School in the States. They had a winning record of 300 football games, 15 years or whatever football. But anyway, it was a wonderful phrase that the coach would say, and I loved it. I thought it was so powerful. It's putting in that perfect effort. Because when you do that in life, even if you're not getting the results you want, at the end of the day, you can rest your head knowing that you put that out there and you did everything you could. And how I'll say this, the more you start doing that, it's like a compound effect. The more you start doing that perfect effort, it starts piling up until you will get the results that you want. And that can be applied in any facet of your life. So, to quickly recap, strategy over people. Focus on people or your person, being yourself, over strategies first. Alignment fixes a lot of problems. Maybe it's who you're with. Maybe it's your spiritual and emotional alignment. You don't have a deep why yet. Maybe it's your location. Maybe you need to move. Maybe you need to move cities. Maybe you just need to move out of that area. Challenges can be a massive blessing. Find the blessing in it. Find how it made you better. Find how even the small challenges of your day-to-day makes you better. Number 4, reps over rambling. Get reps in. Don't just talk about it. Start doing it. And number 5, again, is that perfect attitude and that perfect effort. Fixes a lot of things. Fixes a lot of problems. So, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate you taking your time today to do this. If you haven't yet, you can sign up to lifepurposely.ca for our newsletter. More importantly, if you feel that there's somebody in your life that needs to hear this message, share it with them. Because one of the best gifts I've ever was given was somebody shared a video with me about where your focus goes and how that can change your life. And it did. It radically changed my life. So if you know somebody, share it with them. Be that person that makes a change in someone else's life. Because why not share more happiness, joy, and love in this world? Because isn't that what we all want? So thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Bye for now.